the real reason why I left my job in retail and why I actually am so much better off these days working for myself as a handmade business owner from my home. This one is going to be, I'm going to be telling a lot of kind of like secrets and things that I have not spoke about before in my journey as a handmade business, and where it kind of like the very beginning and what was going on in my life when I first kind of started this journey. So there's a lot to unfold in this video. I left my job in retail now over 7 years ago, and in this video I'm going to tell you exactly why I did that and how I started Veneer Creations and left my job within 1 year. So here's my story, and here is what really happened. So if you're stuck in a job right now that you don't really want to be in, and you're in a toxic environment and you're feeling like you want to do something creative, or you want to start a handmade business, or just do something else, you don't really want to be doing what you're doing at the moment, it's just not for you, it's not the right, you know that you're not in the right place, you know that you're not in the right job that you should be in, then keep watching, because I'm gonna go into exactly what I did to get out of this toxic situation that I was in. And if you love videos about handmade businesses, please subscribe, because there's much more coming just like this. If you're new here, hi, I'm Becky, and I've run a handmade business now for 8 years, 7 years full-time from home. We did have a little stint where we moved into a unit, but then swiftly moved back home because this is where I want to be. And it has been an amazing journey, but it started in quite, I would say, quite a dark place. Right at the beginning, I was probably in quite a dark place when I very first started, and I was desperate to get out of the situation I was in. I also have my friend Sam, who now works with me, and she also came from the same company. We worked together at River Island, which is where I came from. Or should I say where I worked before I started my own handmade business. And I put out on my Instagram that I was looking for someone to work with me I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago now, and Sam answered, and I literally snapped her hand off because she is amazing. And one of the reasons why I'm so grateful to work at River Island, because there were people like Sam, a lot of people like Sam, who worked for the company who were just absolutely amazing people. And yeah, she has now worked with me for 6 years, and I've also kind of helped her build her own handmade business, where she has had over now 19,000 sales on Etsy. And she is one of the reasons why I wanted to start the Artisan's Alchemy, because I thought, if I've done this for myself and now I've helped Sam do this for herself, I think I can actually help other people do this and make a full-time income out of the handmade business. And that's why I started the Artisan's Alchemy. So if you'd like to book a call, please book that down below in the comments, and let's get into it. So I firstly want to say that there are amazing people that worked with me during my time at this company. Absolutely amazing people, and I am actually really grateful that I did work for this company because of these people, and I learned a lot. There's a lot of good things about working there that I really did enjoy. So I just want to be really clear about that. It wasn't all bad, especially in the beginning. It wasn't all bad, but there were a lot of things that I'm going to talk about that I were just like, now I just like blow my mind that I did while I worked there. So let's get into it. So the very first thing that I thought was absolutely disgusting about working there was when I was a level 1, I quite frequently worked for free on minimum wage. And I had a 1-bedroom flat, and I was not making much money, and I was working for the company and I was getting paid for it, but they would also add on extra hours at the end where they would say, oh, you'll get the money back, or you'll get the hours back, or whatever. I worked, I don't even know how many hours for free quite often, and that was a very big thing in the company. That was kind of a big thing, the big culture in the company for making people work for free, from management to level 1s at the time. And this was years ago, by the way, when I first started. This will be like 17 years ago now, and things have definitely changed since then. As I worked there, this changed, but yeah, that was one of the most toxic things that happened to me in the beginning. And then there was also when I started to move up within the first year, I was in the first year when I first got my first management role, and they put me in a store that was so far away that had no trains that would go there, so I had to get a taxi, a train and a bus to this place, and I felt really pressured to do this job, and it was costing me more money than when I was just a level 1, they would call it. And it made me so anxious, and it actually really I was really, really unhappy during that year, and it made my life just really awful, and I hated my job and I hated my life at that point in my life. And I would quite frequently like get extremely upset and have breakdowns. Like my boyfriend, well, my husband now, knows how bad that was. And I just think to pressure someone into working in a place that was just not even, I was not even able to get to without having to travel 2 hours to and from every day, it was ridiculous. But I was young and I did agree to working there, but I did feel incredibly pressured. Now, that's probably not something that was the business's fault, but yeah, it's just still something that I felt was quite toxic. And through the years, I had many different stores. I became a store manager and I had many different stores, and I worked with amazing, and I can't even tell you, amazing people. I had some absolutely awesome times with wonderful teams and wonderful people, and I had the best time. And I just want to make sure I'm clear about that. I worked with some incredible people and it was brilliant, and these are the reasons why I loved working for the company. The people that were employed, they were brilliant at, and we were brilliant at getting the right people and bringing them into River Island and making it a good place to work, and I loved that about the company. And then something quite big happened. I was asked to go to a flagship store by quite I don't want to use names, but quite a high up manager, and she wanted me to go there to improve the toxic working environment. Basically, that's what she said. She wanted me to improve. I can't remember the exact words that she used, but she wanted me to improve it. So she wanted to know why people didn't want to work there and why it was not a nice place to work, basically. And she wanted me to go there because she'd seen that my store was happy, and she actually came up to me in my store and said, everybody in your store is smiling and everybody is happy. And it was one of the most amazing moments of working for that company. And this manager was amazing as well. Like, she was very high up, and I loved the fact that she cared so much about that, and she wanted me to go to this flagship and kind of like help bring that culture there. So I didn't want to go, but I did, because they paid me what I asked for, basically. And I went there, and I cannot tell you how bad it was. There were, again, some amazing people that worked there, people that should have been promoted, and people that were put in positions that they probably shouldn't have. So there was a lot of like people in positions that shouldn't have been in them positions, and then people that were at lower positions that should have been put. So there was a lot of working that kind of out when I first went there, but that was fine. That's normal in any business. Like, these things happen. And I very quickly realised there was a bullying culture. That's the only way I can explain it. There were bullies in that store, like full on bullies that were allowed to just stay and act like this and pretty much never get in trouble for acting like that. And I'm on about screaming over the radios, shouting at people, level ones we would call them, I hate that word, level ones, level twos, not even management, but absolutely being nasty as hell to these people. And that was awful. But then eventually there was a manager who was brought into, well, there was really good managers there. I don't want to say, like, there was some really good managers who were brought in to try and help this environment, and they were brilliant. And there was one particular manager, and he was amazing, and he did a lot to help the culture of the store. And I really, really enjoyed working with him. And HR once came to the store, and we had to have a meeting there to talk about like what we were struggling with and what we were finding hard with working at the store, and try and like work on our relationship with each other, because there was quite a few of us high managers in the store, and it was sometimes hard because of that. Like, you have a lot of like managers who were very good at what they did, and we all had different ideas and different opinions, and they brought us all into this room, and HR were just basically asking us, like, it was like a bit of a role play where we were just talking about hard times. And this one woman stood up and spoke about how I'm not going to say exactly what happened, but she literally had a metal pole in her hand and she was ready to hit somebody over the head with it. Yeah, that's the kind of thing we were working with. That's the kind of person this person was. They wanted to hit somebody over the head with a metal bar. This is the kind of bully mentality that this person had, and she gave this to the rest of her team, and they used to scream at you down the phone, down the radio. And I became heavily pregnant while I was there. I was pregnant with my son. It wasn't just this person, there was lots of other things, but this is the kind of mentality that I mean, like, keeping people in the business just because they're friends with people higher up and they've been there for that many years that they don't want to get rid of them was creating a culture that was horrendous. And it was hard as well because it was open for like 12 hours. But I used to literally lock myself in cupboards and cry. I was hormonal as well. I was very heavily pregnant and I was not doing well. I just couldn't cope. I couldn't even go to the place, like the area of where this store was, because it used to upset me so much just even being near the store, because I used to get so anxious being around it because of how horrible it made me feel. And yeah, it slowly but surely made me hate working there and hate working for the company. And I remember saying to my boss, I am not staying here. I've lost all my love for this company. I've lost everything that I ever wanted from here, and I'm ready to go. And I started making things at home, not to actually start as a job, but it just helped me with like calming me down after work. It made me feel better, and I just started making things with my own hands, and macrame I started with, and it really helped me calm down after work, and it made me feel relaxed, and it started making me feel happier again, and the anxiety slowly started to kind of disappear, and I started sticking up for myself. I started refusing to do certain things and refusing to work with certain people. I was probably quite hard work myself at this time, and I apologised to my boss at probably the way that I was, but I was protecting my baby, and I was protecting myself, and I was protecting my health. And I started to realise that people wanted to buy the things that I was making, and sometimes some people who actually worked at the store bought some of my first creations, and I loved some of the people that worked there. Like I said, it wasn't all bad. There were some amazing things, and there's things that I learned from working at this company that I still use to this day, and I'm still really grateful. But these were I just wanted to get out there the toxic things and the reasons why it was so bad, and I needed to get out of this place. So I started to do really well, and I started getting orders from like Spain. And I remember my first order from Spain that was like £100, and I couldn't believe that someone had spent £100 on my creations. I was gobsmacked. I absolutely was not doing it for the money in the beginning. I just wanted to make. And I put them on Etsy, and things started selling and selling and selling and selling. And I sat there one day next to another manager. I said, I'm not coming back after I've had this kid. And he went, you'll be back. You'll be back. I worked really, really hard. I didn't stop. Every second of every day I was on YouTube learning something about selling online. I was reading things. I was imagining things in my head. I was manifesting massively. I didn't even know what that word was, but I used to manifest all the time. I used to imagine my life when I had this job. I'd think about like how much I would need to make to get to this point, how much I would need to make, and different goals that I wanted to achieve. And I just kept watching, and like I said, learning the first thing, learning the second thing. And I didn't stop. It was literally became my whole life. And when I say I worked hard, I worked extremely hard. And within 1 year I was ready to quit. But I actually started a job at another place and told that person I was leaving my previous job because it was very toxic, and very quickly realised that job was quite toxic too. I mean, this lady used to actually scream in the faces of her staff, and then I quit that job straight away because I thought, oh, I'm not doing this again. So I very quickly quit that job too, and I'm not even going to say where that was because yeah, it's a smaller business, but they do very, very well. And this lady was just literally screaming at her staff for stuff that she probably hadn't set up properly herself. It was just bad. So yeah, then I decided to go full time on my own, and my shop just skyrocketed. I realised with me putting in every single hour I could into this, and I was hard work. I've always been a hard worker, and I just thought if I could put all of myself into this, the things that I've like achieved in my life, what if I put everything into this? And I did, and it worked. And I always think like if you put more effort in, and you really think about it, and you put more into something, you are a hard worker, and you're gonna be able to do it. Like what can stop you? Like you are a hard worker. If you put all your hours and every second that you have, and I'm on about like I used to work so hard. I can't tell you, I work hard now, but I put all that into something that I loved, and I put it into this, and it worked. And yeah, so I decided to quit my job, and I went into River Island, and I gave the notice to the person that told me that I'd be back, and that was brilliant. It was a brilliant moment for me to give my notice to somebody who told me that I wouldn't leave. And And I didn't make a big deal out of it. I just was like, just gave it home and I just walked out because I was on maternity leave at the time as well. So yeah, that was brilliant. So yeah, and then I started my journey as being a self-employed handmade artist, and it was amazing. And yeah, there are things that are still stressful, but there's no one that ever can bully me. And I think that's also given me a thick skin online, because people often say, how do you deal with people being like nasty online? And I'll be like, mate, you should see what I had to deal with. These people who are mean online are nothing compared to what I had to deal with when I was working in retail. I think that probably is a reason why I do have such a thick skin online. Maybe that's why. And yeah, there's still things that are hard, like learning to work for yourself and taxes and things. Yeah, it's a learning curve, but it's completely doable. And yeah, that I wasn't perfect at a lot of things. I did not document things correctly in the beginning. I was a bit of a mess, but I just did it, winged it. I just like, I'm just gonna go for it. And I did, and I worked very hard and I got to where I was, and my life is so much more peaceful now. I did struggle in the beginning because I didn't have Sam as well. I did struggle with kind of being on my own a lot. That I really struggled with that because I had a young baby as well. So I'd work in nap times and I'd put him in nursery. But when he was at home, I did struggle being on my own a lot because I didn't go to baby groups. I didn't do all these things because I just needed to work. So I just worked. And that was really mentally straining, having a baby and starting a full-time business and trying to bring in a full-time wage was really hard, like extremely hard. But I did it, I worked really hard, and I do not regret a single moment of it, because now he's older, I get to do any school drop-off, I get to go to any school play, I get to do whatever I want with my child whenever I want, and nobody can tell me any different, and I don't have to worry about school holidays. I can have his friends over during the 6-week holidays or whenever I want, and it's just brilliant. And every sacrifice that I did make in the beginning has paid off like tenfold. I don't have to work like in any of these horrible situations anymore, and like me and Sam, like we talk about a lot about the toxic things that we had to do back then, and how, wow, like the things we put up with and things we would never I would never expect Sam to do working here, and just we would never do that to someone the way that we were kind of treated. But it was a bigger company, I get that. But yeah, it was just mental. So I would love to know, do you work in a toxic environment right now, or just in a job that you're just not fulfilled in? Please pop that in the comments and let me know, are you wanting to start a handmade business? Or do you already have one and you want to make it full time? I would love to know that, so pop that in the comments. You absolutely do not have to stay in these jobs, in these toxic environments that make you feel like you're just not fulfilled in the work that you're doing every day. I used to think that I had to stay in this job because of the security. I think because of where I started, when I first started my job at the I was living in a 1-bedroom flat, I didn't have any money, and I always felt like I had to stay there or I would be absolutely like screwed basically. But starting a handmade business alongside it and just deciding to put actual time and effort into it has really paid off for me and worked so well. So just get out of that mindset and start believing that you can do something else, because the reason why you're staying in the job that you don't want is because you don't really truly believe you can get out of it or you can do something else. When you start to believe that you can, then you can start making the moves. And I'm telling you right now, you can do something else. And if you feel like you want to have some help with that, or you'd like to chat to me about your dreams and goals for a handmade business, you already have a handmade business and want to talk to me about that, please book a call with me down below. It's a no pressure chat just to go over your handmade business, and if you want, just to talk about the Artisan's Alchemy, and if you're interested in that. So I am aware this has been a bit of I think it's been like a therapy session for me, this. Just getting out everything that kind of happened to me. That's not even the full story either, there's way worse things that happened, but yeah, I just wanted to talk about like that. I don't know if it's even going to be interesting for you guys to kind of watch this, but I'd love to know your stories as well. Like, let me know your stories if you've got any toxic, crazy stories about where you work. So yeah, and if you want to watch these videos here, please do, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!